First take this morning, game 4 tonight in Boston. The Heat up 2-1. Tyler Herro will not be able to go. He's dealing with a groin injury. JJ Redick, what does this mean for the Heat?
Well, it doesn't change my pick for tonight because I had picked the Celtics to win, but I don't know that this is as damaging for the Heat as it looks on the surface. Although Victor Oladipo didn't have great counting stats in Game 3, I thought he was spectacular. His defense was off the charts, 4 steals, 3 of those were just straight pickpockets, one-on-one defense. He also had a big game in the closeout game of round 1 against Atlanta. So we know he's more than capable of scoring and picking up the slack there. And as Stephen A. mentioned, Tyler Herro has struggled in this series.
I totally agree with you. I mean, listen, I got the Celtics winning tonight anyway. I think they've got to win tonight. I don't think they're coming back from a 3-1 deficit against the Miami Heat. Tyler Herro being out obviously facilitates that happening with a degree of ease. Even though he's been struggling, he's still a threat. So that's not something that you really, really want to deal with. So him being out, I definitely think hurts the Heat, and Jimmy Butler clearly is not going to be 100%.
The disappointment I have right now with the amount of injuries, I mean, as a fan of the game, you just want 2 teams to be at full strength, 2 teams that are heavyweights and go head-to-head. It was the same issue we dealt with in the Boston-Milwaukee series. Like, I wanted Chris Middleton out there. I want to see, one team at their best versus another team at their best.
Do you think it's more than normal? You're saying the injuries are more than normal of late?
It has felt like the last 3 or 4 seasons in the NBA, really starting in 2019 in that finals run, or even before that when Kevin Durant hurt his calf prior to the Achilles injury. It has felt like the last 4 seasons we've just had an enormity of injuries by key players in the playoffs.
I don't even understand. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's just amazing to me when you see some of these things that people have been going through throughout history and what they've played through, and somehow, some way, I'm not knocking any players. If you're injured, you're injured. I'm just saying it's been an alarming number of injuries in the postseason over the last few years.
You still have Boston winning it all.
Yes.
You?
Not winning it all.
No, sorry. Going the East. I know we all know the Warriors. Everyone knows the Warriors. You're still sticking with Boston?
I'm still sticking with Boston.
Oh, you feeling confident about that?
No,
What?
I just, again, it goes back to I have been praising the Miami Heat for 2 years, and the second I go against them on an unbiased judgment call, like this is what I have to do. It's just now I'm not in the Heat lifer club anymore. So whatever. It's disappointing.
I got you.
It's disappointing.
Oh, well. It is what it is.
Stephen A. can tell you what it's like to be exiled from different clubs for making picks, right? It's no big thing. We all can. Get used to First Take and ESPN. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Hey, Stephen A., safe travels. We'll be watching you tonight. Game 4 on 4th series thus far. Jimmy Butler led Miami to a Game 1 win by becoming the 5th player in NBA history with a 40-point game in each of the first 3 rounds of a single postseason. The Celtics bounced back in a big way in Game 2 by making 10 more three-pointers than the Heat and winning by 25 points for just their 5th time in playoff history. In Game 3, Bam Adebayo put the team on his back, leading the Heat to a win by becoming the 4th center since 1973 to lead their team in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals in a playoff win. Talk about productivity. The trainer's room is busy for Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals as the status for many key players on both teams uncertain. Smart, Williams, Butler, Lowry, and Herro are all questionable, Jason Tatum being the only one of the bunch that is listed as probable for tonight's game. Stephen A., do you still believe the Celtics are winning the series now that Miami is up 2-1?
Yes. I haven't budged from that one bit. I picked the Celtics to win this series in 7 games, and I expect them to win this series in 7 games. I think that they're the better team. That's not to throw any shade on Miami. Miami has been very impressive. We got to look at them and respect the hell out of them and what they bring to the table. Jimmy Butler is a star in this league. I was sad to see him go down and not play in the second half. But props to the Miami Heat, their culture, their coach, and Bam Adebayo stepping up the way that he did. P.J. Tucker stepping up the way that he did as well. I'm just looking at some of the guys that showed up stressed with that big of the game. Obviously, they got guys that stepped in and said, Kyle Lowry giving you nearly 30 minutes when he had a hamstring injury and goes out there and gives you nearly 30 minutes and makes his contribution. Respect is given where it's due, and the Miami Heat are to be respected. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are who they are. Marcus Smart is who he is, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. I thought his ankle was broke. I couldn't believe he came back. That's why I was laughing when Trae Young sat up there and tweeted, the Boston Celtics got a hell of a medical staff. That's why he said something, I'm paraphrasing, something to that effect, obviously, because we didn't expect Marcus Smart to come back. But I didn't call it TD Bank Garden. I called it TD Bank Infirmary. I mean, what the hell was going on? We started the game out, okay? Robert Williams wasn't going to play. Then Kyle Lowry had to go back to the locker room because he seemed to tweak something. Jimmy Butler goes down. Marcus Smart goes down. Jason Tatum looks like he separated his shoulder or something. He goes down, and then he comes back out, and the crowd roars and everything. I'm like, damn. All of these damn injuries were taking place. In the end, however, what it comes down to is that Boston turned the ball over too damn much. Jaylen Brown, to me, I believe Jaylen Brown is a star. Good brother, great player. He's a star in this league. Turned the ball over too damn much in that third quarter. That's why I called it one of the worst 40-point games I've seen. Had 5 turnovers in the third quarter. He got stripped about 4 different times by Victor Oladipo. That can't happen. And it seemed like every single turnover, JJ, that he committed was when Boston was trying to make a run. And somehow Jaylen Brown would turn the ball over, okay? And Jason Tatum had 6 turnovers, 13 turnovers with your 2 stars. That cannot happen if you're going to beat the Miami Heat. So all I'm saying is I don't believe that's going to happen too often. I think that the Boston Celtics are going to win. It's going to take 7 games, but Boston is going to go back to South Beach, and they're going to win in a Game 7. That is what I believe is going to happen.
I'm going to answer the question. Was that the most physical game you've seen in the playoffs this year?
It's so far.
Yes.
So far, yes.
And I think some of that probably led to those turnovers. I still believe the Celtics are going to win this series as well. And a lot of this depends on Marcus Smart. I'm not saying Marcus Smart is the best player on the Celtics, but to me, he is their most important player. And that has sort of shown in this series. He missed Game 1, they lose. He comes back for Game 2, he goes for 24 and 12, they win. Game 3, so much of that comeback was because of his just grit. I mean, him coming back after that ankle injury, TD Garden erupted, and then he hit that sidestep 3. That was peak sort of playoff crowd at that moment.
Yes, it was.
And so much of their struggles, to me, in Game 3 was a matter of pace and a little bit too much of target hunting. Going against a box and elbow set defense for the Miami Heat is not a formula for winning basketball. The Heat sort of changed their strategy. I thought having Kyle Lowry back, his throw-ahead passes, being able to get the pace going early in the game was huge. And then, bam, just being a facilitator, slipping behind screens, playing out of the short roll, dribble handoffs. The Heat felt like they made a choice in Game 3. We're going to not try to play against the Celtics half-court defense. We do not want to go against their set half-court defense, where the Celtics, just time and time again, were going against 5 bodies. And with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I thought there were a number of times where they drove, they're being aggressive, I get it. They were driving without a plan. And so many of those turnovers were created by just getting into traffic and getting into space and not really having a plan of whether or not to shoot or draw a defender and kick. It was just being aggressive to be aggressive for that sake.
Well, let me say this to you. All of that's fine, good, and dandy, and I don't disagree with anything that you said. But we're not having this conversation if Jason Tatum shows up. Jason Tatum didn't show up in Game 3. He had more turnovers than field goals. This is Jason Tatum we talk about here, okay? This is some people would say a superstar in